Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's Code Along. My name is Reese, and I'll be your moderator today. We're going to kick off with today's session in about a minute or so. We're just waiting so everyone has a chance to join, although it looks like we've got quite a lot of people in already, so thank you for joining early. This is obviously a very exciting session. If you haven't already, please do register for this session. You can do so by scanning the QR code that's on screen now. You can also head over to datacamp.com/webinars, where you'll find this session as well as all of our future sessions as well. We've got quite a few sessions up for July, so go check those out as well. However, today's Code Along, we are going to be building our first agent with n8n. Obviously, to Code Along today, you're going to need an account on n8n. We're also going to be using Google and Google Calendar, so make sure that you've got a Google account as well, although you should also all have a Google account already. And it's also useful to have a Supabase account. You can start a free trial as well. The resources that you need are pinned in the chat and also in the video description. We have a partner link for n8n that you can get set up with. I'll send that in the chat now. So yeah, keep an eye out for that. And then yeah, you can sign up for n8n using Frank's partner link. However, yeah, the other links are in there. You'll notice in the resources folder, we have a zip file that is going to contain everything that you need to get started. So we've got a couple of JSON files, which will be useful in n8n, and there's a few other bits in there that we will also mention during the session itself. So if you're planning on coding along with us live, check out the resources. They're pinned in the chat and in the video description as well. That's got everything you need. And also check out the resources document, the PDF document in there as well. We've also got the slides in there too. If you have any questions at any point throughout the session, let us know in the chat. We will potentially stop halfway for questions, but we're also going to spend the last 10 minutes of the session running through your questions as well. So yeah, please do stick around for that. As mentioned before, please sign up for n8n, use Frank's partner link, and you can get a 14-day free trial there. Brilliant. Yeah, any questions, let us know in the chat, but I think that's everything from me. So yeah, I'll hand you over to your host for today's session, Richie. Richie, please take it away.
Hi there, data scamps and data champs. This is Richie, and happy Juneteenth to everyone. All right, so today we get to do all the cool things. So AI agents are the hottest topic of this year, and I do love coding, but I also love not coding sometimes. And so today we're going to be looking at creating AI agents without using any code. We're also using n8n, which is perhaps one of the most hyped AI startups of recent memory. We're doing all the fun stuff in one go. We're going to build something useful without writing any code. Our guest today is Frank Nillard. He's the founder of the AI development agency, Architect.io, where he leads the development of AI agents. So, hi, Frank.
Hi, how's it going? Good to see you guys here.
Yeah, wonderful to have you here. So Frank also runs a popular YouTube AI education channel where he teaches people how to effectively build AI systems. And previously he was a data analyst at Unilever, and he's also currently an education partner at Microsoft. So welcome, Frank. Please take it away.
All right. Welcome to see you all, guys. Thank you for having me here in this live. So we're just going to get straight to it, to be honest. I'm going to go through the presentation. So first of all, I'm going to start by introducing myself, just for one slide. So hi again, my name is Frank Nillard. From some of the things that I've done, I have a YouTube channel, which is what people mainly know me for. I've also partnered with Microsoft to be able to educate people at scale. And I also have a community where I teach people how to get started in the AI world, right? As well as building with really cool tools such as n8n so that you don't have to code anymore. So just want to go through the basics because probably a lot of people are a bit overwhelmed with AI all the time, but I think it's important to go back to the basics to some point to make sure everybody's on the same boat. So just want to cover first on what is really an LLM. So everything that you have to know about an LLM is essentially, it's a statistical program, okay? And it just generates, it's really good at generating and predicting the next token and word. And you probably used many of them, ChatGPT, Google Gemini, Claude at this point, right? And they have really good specific use cases, such as question answering, summarizing text, generating code, and so on, right? But there's limitations to what you can do with LLMs by themselves. So then comes the power of AI agents. So some people get confused with these concepts. Essentially, what AI agents are, kind of a framework that are built around LLMs. And they give LLMs these kind of superhuman abilities, right? They're able to access the tool and tools, and these tools could be access to a database, an external environment, right? They could call APIs. So, by giving these powerful components to LLMs, you are able to do tasks that resemble more like humans, right? So you could imagine in a few years, what AI agents could become, right? How the capabilities could develop even further, even though I think they're already very far at the moment. So there are a couple other things, such as the ability to retain memory, but we're mainly going to see in this tutorial the memory component and the tools component, which you'll see in the personal agent that we will build today. So LangChain. So LangChain was one of the first frameworks that were out there that could allow us to build applications and AI agents with these LLMs, right? As I explained to you before, AI agents are a framework that are built around LLMs, and LangChain was one of the first frameworks that allowed us to do this. And I am really in love with this framework. I've been using it for some time, ever since it came out, the version 0.0.1. And yeah, the power of this is that apart from creating AI agents, it's also able to chain LLMs together and therefore perform more complex actions. So yeah, this has pretty much revolutionized the access to us for us to create real-world AI applications. So yeah, LangChain is great. And on top of that, well, people have built incredible startups on top of this LangChain framework. There's also other frameworks that came by, but mainly the LangChain framework. And yeah, this just enables us to not need to code anymore, right? Obviously, there's some applications that do need, some use cases that do need code, but for the majority of business operations, you can perfectly use no-code tools at this point. So yeah, it enables the large portion of people, which I think many of you could be, to just get started on automating processes within your business or within your personal life as well, as you'll see today. So yeah, the great thing about these no-code tools is that they're built on top of these LangChain concepts, which I love to explain through. And yeah, with these no-code tools, you have these drag and drop nodes, which are very easy and intuitive to use. And yeah, the big difference, I think, with no-code and code is that, if you're using a no-code tool, well, it has all built-in error handling, all the versioning, and all that, which you would usually have to handle manually with code, right? So yeah, a lot of good benefits, especially the ability to quickly prototype an idea to life, right? So yeah, what are we covering today? Well, you're going to cover one of the concepts that we explained before, right? This AI agent. We're going to cover the n8n basics, which I think is also crucial. And we're going to go through AI agent fundamentals, okay? So building on top of the LLM onto that framework that I explained to you, right? Which makes the LLM act a bit more human, especially the tools component over here, which you'll find, I'm pretty sure, fascinating. So let's get building. So let me stop that. And hopefully you guys have all of the documents ready, right? So I'm going to be building it from scratch, but feel free to open the JSON files from scratch. But I think I'm first going to take you through the platform really quickly so that you can see what n8n actually is. So yeah, as I explained, n8n is one of these no-code platforms that is booming at the moment. And you can see the applications that it has, right? IT ops, security operations, DevOps, sales, and so on. So it's very, very big. And the first thing that you would do is get started for free. I think Reese left the link in the description, so go ahead and do that. So when you click, you probably see something like this, or just hit the Get Started button, fill in all the details, and you should then see a dashboard as follows, okay? You probably have it blank over here, which is completely fine, because what you would do then is create the workflow, okay? I know that you can't open the JSON file, and I'll show you right now how to do that. So just log in, okay? Create your account, and once you're in here, you're gonna go ahead and create a new workflow, okay? So just hit create workflow, and you should see, obviously, you probably see something like this, okay? Should be a blank canvas. So with the JSON files, in order to use them, you would need to import them into this canvas. So you would hit the 3 button over here on the top right side. So you just click that, and you should see import from file. Okay. So once you hit import from file, you should be able to select your JSON file, and once you do that, then you should be able to slap it in over here. So make sure to find it. I'm just going to select one that I think is the workflow, and there you go. You should see it appear. Okay, so that's one of the other powers of n8n, is that once you create the workflow, you can share these as JSON files, which is extremely efficient. But as I said, I'm going to start it from scratch, so you guys get to see the whole build. Okay, so we are going to just go through the first component of n8n. I know that many of you are probably not familiar with the platform, so I think the best way to start is understanding what n8n actually does. So it essentially automates. It's the main use case for n8n is to automate workflows end to end, right? And they later added the capability of adding these AI agents, right? Which is able to automate more complex workflows, because now you can add reasoning, right? Thanks to these LLMs. So the workflow always starts with a trigger over here. So you're gonna hit the plus sign over here or over here, doesn't matter. And it's going to prompt you to choose a trigger. Okay, this is how the workflows start. So in this case, we are going to choose a chat message, okay? Because we're going to add, just in front of that, we're going to add an AI agent node. So you're going to see this, just leave it as it is, and there you go. So now you have this chat node, and with this, what you're able to do is open this, click this button over here below, and you'll be able to see a chat interface and also a log interface. And this is mainly used for, or at least I mainly use it for debugging. So this is a quick way to just chat on with your LLM, or mainly with your AI agent, chat back and forth with it, and you'll see that you'll be able to see a log of what the AI agent is doing in the background, right? Which you'll see now. So now we're going to press the plus sign over here. Okay, you can press the plus sign over here, or let me escape, or probably the same place over here as well, right? You can press the tab as well, right? It's good to know these little shortcuts as well. You're going to hit the AI node, the AI section over here, and you're going to see that you have a lot of things that you can select. So this is the second one, the OpenAI node, is the LLM concept that I was explaining to you before, right? You can just add in a simple LLM, but we're not going to touch on that. We are going to choose the AI agent. Okay, and you're going to see this. Don't worry if you see any red things. Okay, so this just means that any message that we're passing from the chat trigger. So as you see, we can chat with it. So just add hi. But you'll see that obviously this node triggers, right? It goes in tick. So if it ticks green, it means that the node works, right? It has ran. But there's nowhere where we can send this. Okay, so we now should connect this node, as you see with this line over here, onto this next node. Okay, so now they're both connected, but you see this is red because we have something to set up, right? Whenever there's something here, there's an error message, you can hover over it and see the issues. So the good thing about n8n as well is that it's really easy to debug. So you see no node connected to required input chat model. Okay, so that means that if you zoom in a bit, you see there's a red asterisk, which is the required things that we got to add for this AI agent node to work. Okay, so anything that you add here is called a node, just to get in the same page. So as I explained before, right, which is what I love about tools like these, is that they're built on LangChain concepts. So if you remember from the presentation over here, it's separated, right? The agent is separated into an LLM, tools, and memory, right? So if you see here, this is pretty intuitive, right? You have the same things. Memory, tool, and obviously the chat model, which is the brain that powers everything. So we're going to go down over here, and we're going to select the open chat model because that's usually the easiest one to set up. And one thing that I might have not mentioned is that you need an OpenAI key. So you might want to set that up on the platform. So you would need to go over to the OpenAI platform. You probably have used probably have used ChatGPT, right? But we're going to another side of the page where you can. So I'll put it on the chat over here. So we need a actually, Reese, you can put the link on the chat, please. So you'll need an API key to connect to the API, which is going to allow the connection with the language model, right? So we're running the LLM through their servers. So that's why we need an API key. So you're going to go over here, okay? So I'll wait a few seconds for you to log into the OpenAI page and set up your API key. So it should be the exact link. You might need to log in, okay, or create an account. Probably can log in with Google real quick, which you'll need it later on anyways. And you can hit create a new secret key, put whatever you want. Obviously, put an actual name that makes sense. So maybe I will put demo data account, create a secret key, and make sure to copy that. Okay, once you have that copied, you're going to go back and you're going to create a new credential because you probably have nothing over here. Right? You can see I made tons of them. You're going to paste that API key there, right? If you're unsure what's going on, you can click over here, select expression node, and you can see the entire API key. Don't worry, I will remove this API key in a bit. But yeah, just paste that over there. And then the base URL is already automatically added. And you should be able to then hit save, okay? Make sure to add a name as well. That makes a bit of sense. So n8n, OpenAI key or something like that, okay? So once that's there, then you should be already
a question from Nanda in the audience saying, can we use Azure OpenAI? Does it have to be like, if you want an API key for a different model, is that also viable?
Yeah, I think you can, but the setup is probably a bit different. So you have to select another language model, not via the OpenAI. So I'll show you right now if the option is there. Before I do that, I'm just going to remove my API key over here. Okay. I'm going to go back and check if that's available. So in order to change the language model, you can just disconnect. You saw what I did over here, right? So you're going to touch on it. If you hover over it, you'll see a little bin icon, and that's going to disconnect the connection, okay? So now if you want, you can add again, and you can see that you indeed have the OpenAI chat model connection through Azure. So you can go ahead and select that. And if you're creating a credential, you probably need to do this. So yeah, I'm not going to cover that in this setup because I believe that the easier way is through OpenAI. So make sure that you're finishing that setup, and I'm going to move forward. So, okay, so now we have the chat model connected. We are going to go ahead and try this out. So now you can go onto the chat interface and just ask something. Right, so we have a problem with the auth. I don't know why. I left it in the demo one, so I'm going to go back to my actual API key because I was doing that setup. I'm going to just chat again. And the beautiful thing about n8n is that you can see the logs over here. So you can see exactly what the agent is calling or accessing. So now when we add the memory on the tool, you'll see that it's going to access that as well. And you can actually select it and see what's coming in the input and the output. So it really helps for debugging. Cool. So that is set. Hopefully you reached up to there. And now we're essentially able to chat back and forth. But there's a couple of things missing. First thing is that we don't have a memory. So if we ask it anything about the previous conversation, it's not going to remember anything. And second of all, we can't give it access to any tools. So it's not going to trigger any APIs, which is the main benefits of an AI agent. So we're going to go ahead and check that out. If you saw as well, if you go back to the AI agent node, you probably see now that because we connected the chat node over here, this turned green, which is another proof that this works correctly. And you can see here two different ways of adding a message onto the AI agent, right? So there's two components of the AI agent, right? How you can send it messages or instructions. So first you have the user message, which is kind of the top level part of the prompt, right? It's just so that it's basically the main line instructions that the agent is going to understand in order to perform the output that it needs to do. But then over here, you have, which we're going to use, we have the second set of prompts, if you want to call it. So there's two main prompts, the user input, and then we have the system input or system prompt. And this is going to determine the behavior of the AI agent. So if it needs to answer in a certain way, what tools does it have available, right? Think about it. Think about this as the main instructions you will give to a human to perform a task, okay? So you can leave that as it is. We're going to touch this a bit later, because I think it's better to first set these tools up first before we understand what tools does it need to access over here, right? So let's keep going. Now we are going to add the memory. So there's two main memories that you can see over here. So the simple memory gives that ability that I told you before, so that the agent is able to catch up on any previous conversations, and you can set that up over here. Okay, so you see the context window length, and anyways, I think there's a description there, and you can switch this to 5, 15, right? So I'm going to do a quick demonstration over here. So I'm just going to say, "Hi, my cat is blue," although there are no blue cats, but it's going to do a little. Right, okay, well, whatever it said. And now I can say, what did I just chat about? Right, so it doesn't remember previous conversations. But one thing that I'm going to tell you right now is, let's say that, okay, also what you could do is save the workflow so that you don't lose it in case that you refresh your page, okay? Something very important that n8n doesn't do is save your progress, okay? So make sure you save your workflow at some key points. I'm going to refresh the page, okay? Just for you to see what happens with the conversations that we just had. You see that, first of all, they disappeared, right? And if I start chatting to it, you'll see that it doesn't remember anything, okay? That is because of the type of memory that we have. So this is a buffer memory, and it's able to store conversations only in the RAM of the, right? So n8n is hosted on a server, and we're essentially storing these conversations on the session, okay? So now we will be able to see how we can store these conversations permanently, and this is going to be useful when you have, when you're developing something that resembles more like something that you would take into production, right? So that is I'm talking about the Postgres chat memory. So we are going to go through that right now. So the way you set this up is, let's delete this, okay? And let's open this again. And you are going to select Postgres, okay? We're going to use PostgreSQL for this, and we will be connecting this to Supabase. So this is going to allow us to have persistent memory. So whenever we refresh the page or whatever happens, we'll be able to retain these conversations over here, okay? You can also do a million other things if you have those conversations inside a database, right? You can use it for training, blah, 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 whatever. Okay, so something that I tend to do as well is to rename the workflows, the nodes. So you can go ahead and right-click over here and select rename. And since we're building more of a personal agent, I'm just going to put personal AI agent over here, okay? I'll rename this as well and call it conversation memory, okay? Right. So now we're going to finish setting this up. We are going to host the permanent memory or database inside Supabase. So you're going to go ahead and go into Supabase, okay? Make sure you create an account. I think I left it clear on the setup guide. So make sure you're following that. And once you have logged in, then you're going to create a new project, okay? So name the project whatever you want. So I'm going to call it DataCap Demo. And choose a database password, okay? And make sure you store this somewhere because we will be using it later. Okay, just making sure that, just quickly going to make sure that that's the password that I want. Quickly on the side on a little notepad. just going to copy that password. Yeah, okay, that's perfect. And I'm going to choose the region as well. So the region is really important. Make sure to choose a region that is closer to your to where you are. And go ahead and create a new project. Actually, no need to set up the region because this is a demo. I just realized. So yeah, anyways, just go ahead and create that that project. Okay, so now you probably see this. Now we need to create one of the tables. Okay, so actually, I just realized that we don't need to set this up. Okay, this is actually for the next part. So hold on to this. Okay, we'll leave this as it is. You created the project, and we'll come back to it because I realized that it actually creates the table already. You do need to set up the Supabase account anyways. But where you're gonna go? Okay, what you're gonna do now is go to the table editor. Okay, and we don't have any tables yet, so you see something like this. So you're gonna go back to n8n, and I forgot because there's two tables that you gotta set up, and I just remembered that this table with the conversations gets set up automatically. So we're gonna need some things to set this up. So we are going to choose a table name. Okay, I call it n8n chat history. Sorry. So this table, as I said, is going to be created automatically in Supabase. So with this table name. So go ahead and do that. And the other thing that you'll need, you probably see red around here. So you'll click and create a new credential. And you see that we will need a couple things to connect this to Supabase. Okay. So we'll see if you go to the setup guide, which I have actually opened as well. You'll see that if you scroll into the right place, that you'll need a couple things. So you'll need the host, okay, very important. You'll need the user, and you'll need the password. And the password is essentially what we remember when you were creating the project and you place the password. That's what's going to go in here, okay? So make sure you have it available, and we're also going to need the port. Okay, where do you grab all these things, Frank? Well, we're going to cover that right now. So you're going to come back. It's very easy. Go to the top part of your project, and you're going to see connect. Okay, so go ahead and click that, and this is going to allow us to connect to the project on n8n. Make sure to select PostgreSQL, okay, because that's the dialect or the language in which we're going to store the information in, conversation in. And you're going to see here it says transaction pooler. This is what we're going to use. Okay, make sure it's IPv4 compatible. It doesn't matter why at the moment. And you're going to see all these things. Okay, so you're going to grab the host, the port, and the user. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and grab the host, paste that over there, come back over here, the port. Actually, this is you need to go at the end for that. Okay, so paste that over there. Then we have the database. Probably it's set up like that already. Yeah, and then the user, we're going to change that, put it to that. And the password is, well, the password that you have previously set before. Okay, so now once all of that is set up, we can hit save. And you should see something like this, okay? Before you leave, make sure to add a name that makes sense. So this is going to be Supabase conversation memory, okay? And then hit save. Cool. So now once you have that, you're going to go out, and now you should be connected already to Supabase. And if you go back and chat to it, you're going to see something wonderful happen. Now we're accessing Supabase, okay? And if you go back to the project that you were in, we're going to click back, and you refresh here. Okay, you refresh this page where you have the tables. You will see now that we're storing the conversations on a table that I created. So you have a session ID, okay, and this session ID is, well, it's the ID that defines what conversation we are right now, right? If you remember, if you refresh the page, we have a different session. So that just tracks the different sessions, okay? So whenever you talk to the agent, maybe on another time or whatever, it's going to be able to track also different sessions. And you can see here the messages as well. Okay, so you can see type is human because that's our conversation. And then if you scroll down, well, actually the content is, that's what it is. And then we see here that the AI replied back, and we have the contents of that answer. Okay, so it's pretty cool. We can also track what tools did it call, and some other really cool stuff that pretty important in production. But anyways, we have that set up, so that's pretty cool. So now we're just going to continue with the tools. Okay. By the way, feel free to refresh the page, make sure that if it's able to remember the past conversations. But since I don't want to run out of time, I'm going to keep going. So as the brief for this personal agent, we're going to develop an agent that is able to connect to your calendar. Okay, connect to your calendar and also access a project brief, which is going to be stored on something called a vector store. Okay, we're going to cover that in a bit, but first I'm going to cover the tools. So we're going to connect to Google Calendar. So we're going to be able to do a couple of interesting things over here. So go ahead and obviously you can click over here, which is going to take you to the place quicker. Tools already, right? You see, versus us going over here. Okay, but yeah. So feel free to click here, and you'll see all the different tools that we can connect to the AI agent. So it's incredible how many tools you can connect to this agent. So you could imagine the things that it's able to do, right? And this is just going to get better and better and better. I don't know if you guys heard about NCPs, but that's just enabling AI agents to do even more. But anyway, as you see over here, but I'm not gonna cover this. We're gonna go to Google Calendar, okay, and we're just gonna click over on that, and you see that this pops up. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to do is connect to our Google Calendar account. So you're gonna click over here, create a new credential, okay. And yeah, this used to be extremely complicated before. You had to create a cloud project and whatnot. But if you're on the cloud version of n8n, all you need to do is sign in with Google. Okay, so yeah, it's really easy. So make sure you go through that process. Okay, I already have my account already set up, so I'm not going to do that. And yeah, I'm just going to wait 5 seconds for you guys to go through that authentication whilst I take a sip of water. All right, hopefully you guys got to log in. Right, so I'm getting the full error in chat services. Okay. All right, so we need to keep going. So the thing with AI agents is that we also need to give them a couple of descriptions for them to understand what are they using. Okay, so one of the ways in which you can do that is we can set a description manually over here, and you can see that we're just letting the AI agent know that it's able to create an event in Google Calendar. Okay, you can get, so the more descriptive you can get with this, the better it's going to understand when to use this tool. Okay, for this one, we are going to create an event. So I think it's already set up properly. Resource is the event, yes. Operation create. And now you're going to choose your calendar. Okay, this one is mine. I have a demo account over here, so I'm selecting that. And now, if you see over here, we can select a few things. I'm actually going to change one of the things. Just give me a second. All right, so you can see here that we have a start time and an end time. So that just means that the agent is going to be able to create an event between now and now plus 1 hour. Okay, so n8n is great because it allows you to write these expressions over here. Okay, that are able, you can define many things. But I'm not going to go through the expression right now. All you need to know is that we can allow the AI agent to define this parameter itself. right? So it's not stuck by a specific variable, right? So if you leave it like this, right? So the way you do this is just select option if you're Mac, and then you can select $, and you can access many different things. So if I select now, it's going to give me the current time. But yeah, what I was mentioning is that this allows the AI agent to create an event within a specific window. But as I said, now you can let the AI agent do that for you in the newer versions of n8n. You can just click that and forget about everything. Obviously, it's good to add a little description. So we can just say the start date and time for creating an event. Okay, this is going to give a little bit more understanding to the agent what we're trying to do when creating an event. So now you will be able to go back and say, all right, I want to create an event on this date, for example, and it's going to create it. Then date and time. Okay, cool. So that's perfect. And yeah, so also you have other options as well. So the reason we can add all these things and you see all these inputs is because this is part of the Google API. So every tool has certain inputs because they directly reflect what you can add on the API itself. We can also add a summary, which is essentially the title. So we're going to go and find that. And we can allow the AI agent to select that as well. Okay, let's add a little description here so that the AI agent knows what this is. And we're going to put the title of the event. The reason it's called summary is because Google just decided to name it that, although I'm a bit against that. But yeah, anyways, you should have that done. And now what we can do is get out of here. And you see here that you have this beautiful node set up. Let's hit save so that you don't forget your progress. And don't be alarmed if you see this yellow thing over here. Okay, now we're going to say it should be tied up to your calendar. I'm going to pop up my calendar so you see what's going on. I am going to ask it to, okay, let's pull out one of my dummy calendars over here. And we are going to ask it to create an event on my calendar. So let's say create an event. Let's see how it does. Create an event called, I don't know, Richie's birthday. Tomorrow's 20th of June, right? At let's say 3 p.m. And let's see if it's able to do that. Okay, so it even gives us a link to the event that we created, but we can just go over here and see if it created that event. Okay, so it seems like it did not create an event. So let's go ahead and see what happened. Let's go over here. Okay, it actually created the event. So you see over here that we did create the event, and it automatically assumed that it was 1 hour. Okay, so that's pretty good. It is a good idea though to let the agent know all these little things as well. So the length of the event, if the event lasts, we want the event to last a certain time or whatnot, right? You're going to be very exact with what you mentioned, and that's usually defined in the system prompt, which we're going to see once we define all the tools or whatnot. Okay, but yeah, that works. It even wrote the name, so we did that by adding that summary parameter that you saw before. Okay, so this parameter over here, right? So that's what allows us to let the AI agent write the title. Okay, and you can see here as well that by running this node, you can see what the response was, right, from the Google API. So this is, once again, great for debugging in case you need to grab any other information as well. Okay, so this is pretty good. And we're going to keep going. So now we can create an event. It's good practice. Let's rename this node and call it create event. Okay, cool. Now we are going to delete that event. Okay, let's see how to do that. So let's go back to, right, so it created the event for 2023. Okay, so this is something that tends to happen if you don't give it, oh yeah, true. Good catch. It created the event on 2023, okay? And this is one of the reasons why we need to give it a system prompt, Okay, so now we are going to go to the system message and just add a few things. Okay, so you are able to access Google Calendar, and you're just going to mention the current time is, and you make sure to go in expression mode as well, because then you can't add these dynamic variables such as the time. Okay, so press Option or Alt. I don't know what the equivalent is in non-Mac devices, but you go ahead and put these curly brackets and select Now. And now you should be able to know the current time. Okay, so this is what takes sometimes a bit of time, right? Fiddling around with the system message through practice to get it to to a point where you have this well-defined, so that the AI agent knows what to do exactly. Okay, so that's part of the process of defining a good prompt, and it takes practice. So now we're going to try again. The current time is now, and we are going to do this again. So let's create that event again, and it should be able to create it for tomorrow. Okay, right. So June 20, 2025. So now it's on the right year. Okay, and I want to ask you well, you can think about this, but why do you think it chose 2023 instead of the other years that were available? It's not random. Okay, you might think it's random, but if you actually think about it, this model over here, without any prompts or anything, without access to any external data, this model is trained up to 2023. Okay, so that's why it's mentioning 2023, because it's the end of the data that has been trained on. So yeah, just interesting fact over there. But now we are able to book on on this year, so that's good, because we defined, we gave a little extra instruction that, okay, make sure to consider this current time, right? So that you know that tomorrow is tomorrow with respect to now, to today's time, okay, not to 2023, the 19th of June 2023. Okay, so that's good. Now we are going to give the ability of the agent to delete an event. Okay, so we're going to press that over here. Choose Google Calendar tool once again, or you could as well double click or do Command or Control duplicate. Okay, I'm going to show you. So first of all, you need to select what you want to duplicate. Command D or Control D duplicate. Okay, same thing, but I went the slow way. So okay, so now we're here. The credentials should appear already automatically. And for the tool description, we're just going to set it up automatically. And now we want to delete an event, right? So leave that as it is. We're going to delete an event. We're going to choose the calendar. And now you're going to see that we need an event ID. Okay, so in order to do certain tasks within Google Calendar, we need to first grab what event, in this case, we want to delete. Okay, so you're going to leave that on the second on the side. And now we need to find a way on understanding how we are going to first grab the event ID. Okay, so this is why planning a workflow or anything that you do beforehand is very important, right? These are things that you can also obviously stop across as you go. But the good thing about n8n is that you can have notes on the workflow. So if you go and right-click the canvas outside of this, you can see that you can add sticky notes. So this is something that I tend to use a lot, and something that when I'm sharing templates with others, it helps as well to have these sticky notes, because you can explain what the workflow is doing. So, okay, so now we're just gonna go through this little thought process. So it's gonna add notes. So now we know that we need an event ID before doing certain actions on Google Calendar. Okay, first of all, we need the event ID to delete. Okay, delete event. And notice that how I'm adding here, this stuff. So it works with Markdown. So if you go ahead and look Markdown, there's a specific way in which you can write things. So you can add a header 3, header 2, header 1. Right? It's just an easy way to structure everything in a neat way. So since I know you guys probably haven't seen n8n before, it's probably good to let you know that you can do this, right? You can, pretty nice way of structuring stuff. But anyways, we know that we need the event ID first. So what we do, because I've already done this before, you are going to grab, actually, we're going to hit duplicate over here, okay? Or you can add again. Let's connect that to the AI agent, okay? And we need to get the events first. So there's actually a tool or an API endpoint for this. And it's called get many, well, I'm calling it get many events, okay? I'm gonna grab over here because right now it's the same as the other one. And we are going to, hold on. Okay, so leave that as it is. And this one is going to be get many events in Google Calendar. The thing is that there's another endpoint that is for just getting one event, but I find that pretty useless. So I'd rather get multiple events and then let the AI agent choose from those events which one I currently want to update the event or delete the event or whatnot, right? So event, we are going to get many events, my calendar, and you can choose the limit as well. All that you see here, once again, is defined on the docs of the Google API. So, just to let you know. Okay, so over here, I'm doing something slightly smart. So one of the problems with doing this, okay, is that what I'm doing here essentially is allowing the AI agent to choose events within any time frame right now that the AI agent wants. So it's going to be a bit random what it chooses, right? So for example, I wanted to, it would use this to get events from a specific, maybe it gets the events throughout the whole week. And maybe we don't want that, right? We want to be a bit more specific. The more information you give to the AI agent, the more confused it's going to get. So sometimes it's good to be specific and very, very strict with what you want to give it. So in this case, let's say that I only wanted to grab information within the specific day. What you do is you're going to add a description and you're going to say, okay, so I wanted to get all events. Okay, if we're saying, so if I say, for example, I want to book an event for, or I want to delete an event, Richie's birthday on the 19th of June. Why would I want it to grab events for the whole week, right? For me, it doesn't make any sense, at least in my use case. So what I'm going to tell it is, okay, in order to delete that event, you do need the event ID. You do need that ID, but I don't want you to grab all events from the week. So I'm going to have you grab the events for that day. So the way you define that window is, one of the ways is doing it in the following way. On a day specified by the user, inclusive. This is kind of the lazy way, right? Find it, let the model decide, and then you put this over here. And then you add the description over here, okay? This allows essentially to constrain the agent to a window, but also have it be a bit flexible if it needs to. So, okay, so essentially what this is saying is I'm grabbing everything after 12 at midnight, and I am just stopping that window at 11:59 at the end over here, right? So I'm grabbing the whole day and then seeing what event matches Richie's birthday, right? The agent's going to understand that. It's going to look for Richie's birthday over here because it's going to pull other metadata as well. It's going to see that one of the metadata is Richie's birthday. It's going to match it, and then it's going to say, okay, it has this event ID. It's going to use that event ID and use that to delete the event. Okay, you're going to see that work now. So what other stuff? Okay, so that's done. Okay, you can choose the limit as well. If you wanted to pick 50 events, I don't think you'll pull 50 events in the same day. So you might want to push that to 10. And that's it, okay? Actually, leave the limit as it is, because that doesn't matter at this point. It's going to go back, and now we have this delete event, okay? I mean, we have the get many events now. Okay, so now we're going to test and see. Let's add some dummy events over here. For example, over here. Let's say it's Reese's birthday. And yeah, can add that. And then I'm going to add my birthday over here. For example. And we're going to see if it's able to collect the events on that day. Okay. What events are there on the 20th of June? Just for you to check, if you disconnect this, okay, try asking that and see if it works. Right. I mean, it knows this because we previously talked about it. But anyways, you see that I added a couple of events, right? So it's not catching the other events because it doesn't have access to this tool. But now if we do that, right, we connect it to that, you're going to see that what other events do I have on the 20th of June? You're going to see that it's actually grabbing this get many events endpoint and is actually checking and retrieving all the events available. And you see here that it grabbed all of those events, right? Richie's birthday, Reese's birthday, and my birthday as well. So within those events, we can grab the metadata that we need, including the name that's going to be used by the agent and also the ID, which we can then use to delete those events, right? And once again, usually you would want to prompt all of these steps inside the system prompt, but even without adding any prompt, it already knows what to select by the description that we gave it, right? So imagine how smart it is, and we didn't even add a proper system prompt. So yeah, that's how smart these systems are getting. Okay, now we are going to come over here, and you see the event ID over here. Well, now if we let the model define the parameter, now it's going to understand that, well, we need to grab the get many tool in order to grab the ID, and then it's going to use this endpoint or this tool. Okay, so let me go ahead and set up that right now, and we're going to add here just to give it a little bit of a guidance without having to write a system prompt for the event to delete. Okay, and yeah. You see how you can also define the model, let the model define the email, but I'm going to do that. And yeah, that's pretty much it for this node. And we're going to hit save. Okay. So now without any prompting, without anything, just by the labels that we gave it on the tools, let's see if it's able to delete. What is this going on? If it's able to delete, let's say, my birthday. Okay. I'm not going to tell it the time. I'm not going to tell it anything. I'm just going to tell it delete Frank's birthday. That's it. I'm not going to give it any day, anything. Let's see if it's able to detect the day automatically. Okay. So let's see if it actually deleted it first. Okay, so it successfully deleted it. And yeah, I imagine I'm not giving it any additional instructions, so that's crazy.
All right, just before we continue, we're at 8 minutes too, so it's looking like today's session is going to overrun slightly. Frank, I don't know whether you have a sense of how long before we wrap up the coding section?
Yeah, so I'm going to probably just add the delete event over here, and then I'm going to move on to the vector store. So we can.
All right, so we'll do that. We're going to run over a little bit on the audience questions. I can see there's a load of great questions from you there. If you have to jump, then please do check out the Q&A on the recording. One thing I will say, though, is for those of you who've not registered yet, we are 1 week out from the DataCamp Radar virtual conference. We got a ton of great guests lined up. There's I think you've got 22,000 people registered already. It's going to be a really big event. So please do use the QR code to register for that. All right, with that, I will go back to you, Frank. I will leave you to finish up the building the agent.
Yeah, okay. Right, so I'm going to answer a couple of questions. Right, okay, let's speed up the process. So, yeah, okay. So, I mean, you get the idea for this. Deleting the event. It deleted the event, so we're going to move forward with it. Now we're going to give the agent the ability to actually access documents. Okay, so it's going to go through this process called RAG, retrieval augmented generation. And essentially what this does is we're going to store a document inside a vector store, right? We're going to do this with Supabase. So keep this as it is, okay? And we are going to create another workflow, okay? So open a new workflow over here, and we are going to set that up, okay? So first of all, we are going to add a Google Drive over here, okay? So actually, it's a trigger event. So let's look for, I think if you put Google Drive trigger, put Google Drive. So what we're going to do over here, essentially, this workflow, separate from the other one, is going to be used to upload the files into the vector store or the database inside Supabase, okay? So we are going to add the Google Drive trigger. So on changes involving, no, actually, no. So let me see real quick. Yeah, so on changes involving specific folder. So I will want you guys to please go ahead and create a folder on Google Drive. Okay, so go ahead and do that. Okay, I'll give you like 5 seconds for that. So just go ahead, create a completely new folder. And in a bit, we're going to use that to add a file inside it, okay, which is the project brief that I added. Okay, so make sure to create a new credential, okay? And you are going to see here that you have an OAuth redirect URL, client ID, and client secret, okay? So there's actually some setup that you have to do over here, which I didn't expect it. So I don't know if there's going to be time to cover that, to be honest. So what I'm going to do is just finish off the AI agent probably, and we'll cut it off over there. Let me see what we could do. Yeah, because I think Reese, this might take. Yeah, we're gonna come back and do a part 2 probably because this is longer than expected. So I'm gonna go quickly over the finished workflow, okay, so that you guys understand how that works. I wanted to do from scratch because I think that's the way to do it. But essentially, what this is doing is a trigger that when I add a file onto a folder, it's going to download that file, and then we are uploading that onto our vector store. So this is the part where we need to create a table. So if you go back to the Supabase over here, you can go to the SQL editor. Okay, we're going to add a table really quick. You are going to create a new snippet over here on Supabase. Okay, and go ahead and grab the script that you see on. It's the only SQL script that you see on the guide. Okay, so you're going to copy that, paste it over here, hit run, and what we're creating here is a table. Okay, brand new table, but this table is a bit different because we have an extension that is going to accept vectors. Okay, and vectors are the preferred way for LLMs to search for data. It's very effective, and it's going to go, as I said, through this process called RAG, which is much more efficient for unstructured data. So what that does now, we need to connect the credentials for Supabase. Okay, so go ahead and upload this workflow, and you're going to see how we're going to set this up. Okay, so the Supabase credential over here is basically we need the host and the service role secret. So you would go to back onto data camp, and if you look at the guide, you would go to project settings over here. Okay, and then go ahead and select data API. And then this URL over here is the host. Okay, this is the endpoint for managing the database. You come back over here, paste that over there, and then the service role secret is just where was it? The API keys. So now you go into API keys over here. Okay, service role secret. You're going to grab that. Going to have to reveal it, unfortunately. And we're going to go back, paste that over there. Okay, and then hit save, rename it. Okay, and now this node should be set up already. Okay, so you need to obviously connect to the right table. So you created a table called the SQL already did it, documents. So make sure that's matched as well. The embedding size as well probably gets added automatically. And yeah, so once you have all that set up, and if you have this workflow, then once you upload a file on a specific folder, so you can choose the folder over here, right? Try uploading the file that I gave you over here, okay? So upload it and then hit execute workflow, okay? Once you do that, you should see a file appear on the table, okay? So now, once that's there and you have set up the other workflow, okay? So I'm gonna show you the entire workflow because I know that we don't have time. Ooh. Okay, let's go ahead and delete that. Right, this is the whole thing, right? We just finished doing this and this. You're gonna have the Supabase vector store tool, and this is gonna allow to retrieve that file, okay, that you just added to Google Drive. So you add a little description, you name the table, and now you should be able to ask stuff. So if I go over here onto the finished project, I'm just gonna cover this reason, it should be good. So this is how the finished product looks like. Apologies for not being able to cover that, the whole thing, but this is how the end product will look like. And on the document, let me pull out you probably cannot see it. Now you should be able to see it. Okay, like that, right? So this is how the end product looks like. And if we go onto my drive, I'm just going to show you how that works, the whole thing. I'm going to go to, actually it's here. So if I go over here, I have this folder called company projects, okay? And I'm going to push that onto here, okay? So if I push that, I'm going to move that, okay? Once that's uploaded there, I am going to go to my second workflow. I'm running that whole workflow again. I'm going to execute the workflow. It's going to upload that file into the vector store. Okay, once we have it inside the vector store, now we can retrieve that information through this workflow. So what information is there on the folder? So we can just check it. So if you open that, it's a project, okay, and it contains emails, for example. So the beauty about vector stores is that it can retrieve unstructured data like this. So let's say I want to send an email to Louis, okay. I'm just going to say, well, actually create an event with Louis. So create an event called, I don't know, project scope with Louis from architect. Tomorrow at 6. Okay. It's going to access the vector store for information. It's going to grab the email automatically because vectors are really good at understanding similarities. And it understood by just me typing Louis that this is Louis's email. So it's going to grab that. It's actually going to check availability, create the event, and then create that event for me tomorrow. And I also include the email, right? So this is how the finished product looks like. And you can understand if you keep building on top of this, how powerful these agents are, right? And this is just pretty much a demo use case, right? This is for a simple personal assistant. But imagine you integrate this within, for example, a content creation flow or a marketing flow, right? The possibilities are endless, right? This was just a very, very basic example of what these things can do. So yeah, we could perhaps go through a part 2 or something at some other point. But yeah, I wanted to make sure I explained in as much detail the process. But yeah, it seems like we're running out of time.
All right. Well, yeah, we're well past time already. That ship sailed. So thank you so much for that. We're just gonna do like 1 or 2 questions. I say that was very cool. I like that I get an extra bonus like birthday tomorrow. That's a lot of fun. Definitely going to be celebrating that. Okay, so there was some discussion in the chat around like what constitutes an agent. So in this case, it's very much about we're following a preset workflow, and there's someone sort of saying in chat like like aren't agents supposed to like follow a goal and figure out their own workflow? I know both things are called agents; they're kind of different types. Do you want to talk me through like how you think about the different kinds of agents?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, if you think about, what I did over here, so create an event with Lewis tomorrow at 6, right? It is a goal. Like, we're giving the agent a goal. It's just that you don't see the multiple steps that happen below that goal, right? You got to access the Google Calendar API. You got to check the availability. You got to understand what ID to get, right? You could put all those little steps and put them in, laid out and actually build an automation for that, right? That's completely fine. But the key with an agent is that it doesn't have to follow those series of steps exactly. Like, it could launch, it could fire one tool, it could fire the other, right? It really much acts like a human. It can reason. So the key points that differentiate an agent with simple workflow automation, with a simple workflow, is that first of all, it's able to iterate. So let's say the API doesn't work for some reason, right? And there is an error with the way we are pushing something onto the API, right? With a workflow, you can't really fix that, right? If it goes wrong, you have to manually go in and fix that error. With an agent, what you can do is, well, what it does is that if it figures out that we can't send a certain message to an API, it's going to iterate on top of it. So it's going to get a reply back from the API, and then it's going to say, oh, okay, this goes wrong. How can I fix it? So it's going to be able to reason and reason and think about the next steps that it needs to do in order to fix that error. It's going to fix that error, and then it's going to send the API. So the ability for it to fix its own errors is, I think, one of the key things that is different from an agent and a workflow, right? That makes it super powerful. So yeah, that I would say is the main difference, and also the ability for it to also run tools or actions in different orders every time, right? So yeah, you can give it, like, for example, 20 different tools, and with those tools, it can perform like 5-6 different tasks, and depends on the objective that it has, is going to choose a specific set of order of tools to to accomplish that task. So it pretty much acts like a human if you think about it, right? So yeah, that's
all right.
That's
so you got a trade-off then between, like, you want something to be like very deterministic and repeatable, and you give it like a very sort of structured set of tasks to do in order, or maybe you want something to deal with a more flexible process, and the agent gets to choose how it's going to solve that problem.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. Agents are a bit more flexible, so it can definitely handle a couple more different scenarios than a typical workflow would do. But yeah, the main thing is the ability to iterate. I think that's probably the most powerful thing. Yeah.
Nice. We're going to do one more, because I think this is top of mind for a lot of people, is like, how do you go about adding guardrails to this? So how do you make sure your agent doesn't do something stupid?
Yeah, that's a very interesting question. So the funny thing is that there's no current standard way of doing it. Like, I think this is a pretty new space. One of the ways is by pretty much trial and error. And the main, like, most of the errors that happen are in the prompt, in the system prompt. So how many people do it is by just, trialing and error the prompt, and, seeing what mistakes it makes, and then reflecting those mistakes on the prompt. There's also more advanced techniques that you can do, which are called evals or evaluations, which essentially, in most cases, it's just another agent that catches those errors. So that catches, for example, the accuracy of a tool, of an action that the agent does. It gives it a score, and then it just essentially compilates the actions that the agent thought were good. The kind of the evaluation agent, right? There's another agent that takes care of the how good or bad the task is, and it's just gonna list on a score from 0 to 1 or 0 to 10 how good those tasks are, and just list out and then use that essentially for training. But yeah, that is the second way, which is a bit more advanced, and the first way is just how most people are doing it, is trial and error. There's some tools as well that help you build a solid prompt. There are prompt tools out there that allow you to do this. So yeah, I can recommend one. It's called Prompt. I'll write it here. Any of them are interested. I think it's called this. Yeah, something like that. So yeah, I would say it's all in the prompt. 80%, 90% of the errors that happen are because of the prompt. Yeah.
Prometheus, was that okay? All right, so nice. So yeah, it seems like it's like you've got layers of like prompt guardrails, and then you can have like your own multi-agent setup, and that's going to be like the fancy solution. Okay, with that, we are so far past time. We cut some of the SQL stuff out of this to try and keep it to time. We failed horribly. There's a lot of demand for a part 2, so we'll definitely get you back later this year to go through some of the more advanced stuff. That was very enjoyable. I feel like I learned a lot. So thank you, everyone. For those of you who are still here past time, thank you for staying. We've got a webinar next Tuesday on building RAG pipelines, so similar to this, but for retrieving knowledge. That's gonna be a lot of fun. And then, of course, Radar next Thursday. So please do come back for that. And with that, thank you once again, Frank. Thank you to everyone who asked a question. Thank you to everyone who showed up today.